Often when we look at the range of motion or the movement quality of somebody who is experiencing a rotator cuff dysfunction, we can see trends and patterns. That ball, which is like my fist here, and the socket, which is like my hand, the ball has to spin and stay centralized in the socket while that arm bone elevates. If you're experiencing this pain in your shoulder, let's take a look at how you raise your arm and elevate your arm overhead. Often people will describe not being able to keep their shoulder down. So instead of being able to just raise your arm like this, what you actually see is a hiking of the shoulder. And that hiking up of the shoulder is because that rotator cuff is not active to keep that ball in the socket. So instead, what you get is the translation of the bone upward to the roof of the shoulder. So those fingers aren't keeping it nice and snug. Instead, as the big deltoid muscle that inserts on the arm here, and it starts up here on a bone coming off of the shoulder blade, that deltoid will pull that bone upward. If that rotator cuff is not keeping it snug, you're not going to get that nice glide movement. So usually we see this happening, and this is indicative typically of the supraspinatus rotator cuff muscle being injured. That supraspinatus sits on the top above the spine of the scapula, hence the term supraspinatus. And if we were to isolate this muscle really acts to elevate your arm in isolation from about 10 degrees up to maybe 30, 40 degrees of elevation. But then once we get the arm up higher, that muscle acts in synergy with the other ones to keep that ball in the socket.